I've got a question for you. Actually, it's probably something you've done. If you've ever been somewhere and you're trying to be interesting, whether it's at a reception, at a wedding, or you're meeting people at an event or a party or a business thing, and you're trying to be interesting, and sometimes you're struggling with that. And you're like, well, why is that? Because if you're trying to be interesting, that's the fastest way to be boring. Okay, trying to impress everyone else usually doesn't work. Okay, so the fastest way to become magnetic, be likable, be interesting, is be yourself. Sounds tough. But over 100 years ago, Oscar Wilde said, be yourself, everyone else is taken. Makes a lot of sense. What does it mean in real life? Let's break it down. But trying to be interesting and trying to be likable is kind of pretty much the way we've been raised. Okay? Most have been trained like we look around, we see what's normal for society, what fits in, what doesn't fit in, what stands out, and you try to develop your social standing to fit in with the people that you're around. Okay? So you're basically copying what works. Okay? So you mirror trends, you dress like your friends, you borrow personalities, little characteristics, sometimes even expressions that other people give. Okay, so we edit ourselves in real time. Okay, we make adjustments all along the way. But here's the problem. When you're imitating something that's popular, you instantly become replaceable. Because you're not going to be popular forever the way you're being. Okay? Just think of celebrities that never really grow out of their first impressions. Okay? So people don't connect to polished perfection. They connect to specific humanity. The quirks, the nuances, what makes you interesting. You think about the TV characters that maybe like Judge Judy. She's definitely a standalone person. She's got her own characteristics. Christopher Walken, same way. Who are they imitating? Nobody. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's he imitating? Okay, so think about the people that you like best in your regular social life, and who are they pretending to be? Who are they imitating? Nobody. They're themselves. So things like your weird laugh, your oddly specific interest, your stories don't quite land the way you plan, that's the stuff that sticks. Try to be interesting as a performance, okay? Bring yourself to the presence, okay? You are the champion of being you. So how do you get to be interesting? It's not just like charisma tricks or things like that, little conversational tricks or telling jokes so much, even though people like jokes. Okay, interesting people tend to share three traits, okay? They're curious, not performative. Oh, I got a little guest here. Okay, they ask real questions. They listen without waiting for their turn to talk. Curiosity creates chemistry, okay? Once you're listening to what's going on and asking questions, the people you're talking to know you're interested in them, and that makes you more likable, okay? The second thing is they're comfortable with being unfinished. None of us are at the end state of where we're going to be in our lives, okay? Hopefully we're still developing. Okay, so don't pretend to have it all figured out. They'll say, I don't know. I'm working on that. I messed that up. That honestly builds trust instantly. You're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You can be right most of the time, but you're still not perfect, okay? And the third thing is they let their real personality leak out. Okay, they don't sand down their edges. They lean to what makes them them. Your quirks aren't bugs, they're features, little characteristics that make you likable or unlikable to some people. First of all, no one's ever going to like everybody, and everybody isn't going to like you. But it's only the people that matter is what counts, okay? Have you ever heard anybody say, I want to go, what do the people like? I just want to be myself. That's the most stress-free, relaxing way to be is yourself. So here's something nobody tells you, okay? You didn't lose your personality. You protect your personality from judgment, okay? Somewhere along the way, you learned that being fully yourself can feel risky. So you adapt to that, especially with strangers. So you got quieter, you got safer, more agreeable. What a horrible word. But the version of you that was curious, expressive, spontaneous, it's still there, okay? You're still an interesting person. Being yourself isn't about inventing anything new. It's about removing the filters. And you'll be surprised how much people like you when you start becoming a filter. Again, not everybody, But you're not here to make everybody happy. You're here to have a happy life yourself and be unfiltered so you can relax and, again, be yourself. So how do we make this happen? Let's make it practical, okay? Say what you actually think, okay? Politely but honestly. Not what you think people want to hear. There's a great Seinfeld episode where there's a baby. They never show the baby. And apparently the baby's not as cute as what you usually hear. So they're looking at the baby and it's like, oh, the baby's breathtaking. They're using all these words that can go either way. They're still being honest. But, it's a comedy show. Okay. So say what you think, politely but honestly. Don't try to hurt people's feelings, okay? That doesn't work. There's a way to say things nicely, but still be honest about it. Okay, share a small personal truth in conversations. A story, an opinion, a moment. Connection lives in specificity. Connection lies in specifics. Harvard did a study, it's called the Aristotle effect. And basically what it is like if you share a little bit of tidbit information about yourself, it opens up, people start engaging you a little bit more and you're a little more likable because now you're human. Okay, you don't have to be perfect. Let's not talk about the time you climbed Mount Everest in 3 days, nothing like that. But a real story, it could be a little bit humbling, okay? And also, the third thing is stop apologizing for your interest, okay? If you love something, own it. Passion is contagious. I know in New York City alone, there are these meetup groups, and there's a meetup group for just about everything you can think of. I was in a tea shop one day, and I was at a large table with a friend of mine. Table seated like 8 people, but there was just the 2 of us there. So somebody showed up, and he's folding these little pieces of paper. These little like 2x2 or 3x3 pieces of paper. Then somebody else shows up and they're folding paper. So it turns out there was a meetup group for origami. So these people weren't what you'd picture as going to the clubs and all that stuff, but still they got a passion, they share with other people, they love it, they own it. Yes, they argue, they don't always get along, but passion is contagious. Develop some interest besides your phone. Okay. So don't apologize for your interest. Okay. So in closing, if you want to be interesting, don't upgrade your personality. You're already the best you can be, okay? Unmute it, okay? You don't need to become awesome to be somebody new. You just need to be more of you. And that's enough. You are the best you that they can be. Anyone else is an imposter. So if this resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and share with someone who's really trying a little too hard to fit in. Until next time, stay curious, stay real, and remember, being yourself is an unfair advantage to everybody else. Have that personality.